until the chat tells me that I'm live. I'm going to enjoy my coffee like I usually do. Cool. So it looks like I am back live. So excellent. Hey, everybody. I'm Joshua, if you don't know me. And today is April 9th, 2017. And today, like always, I'm working on my video game Delver. And you can see the website behind me. It's delvergame.com. For those of you who don't know what Delver is a procedural dungeon crawler with fantasy, roguelike, and first-person shooter elements. Delver is a passion project. There are two of us working on this. We work on this in our spare time. Unfortunately, we our spare time comes and kind of waxes and wanes, over time. So there are times when we really work hard on it, and there are times when just real life kind of steps in, and we have to kind of back off a bit. Um, it is available in early access, so if you want to support us, you certainly can. That would be wonderful if you could do that. If you'd rather wait for it to be a fully released product, I also get that. Either way. So yeah, we have a link here on our website for the Steam page. We're on Steam Early Access for $7.99. And down here we have a Humble widget, if that's the route you'd go. You also get a Steam key when you buy it on Humble. I believe the Humble build is quite out of date now. We're focusing our efforts on getting we push the most frequent updates out to Steam, and that's kind of the thing we focus on the most. But when we do release our final 1.0 product, we will get builds out to the various platforms we support. So that includes iOS and um, uh, iOS and Android in the future. Those are platforms we can support and we would like to, but iOS definitely is not a place for early access. Let me see. Yeah, so hey Dakota, hey Javier, hey Hawaii Beach, hey I am Wibbly, hey you all wonderful folks in the chat there. I appreciate you coming to watch me work. Let me see. So let's do our kind of a week in Delver recap. Uh, hey Hippo Gijo. Repositories, GitHub. Sorry, I just had a momentary lapse. Also, let me reposition the terminal so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, let me real quick. Also, let me fire up my GitHub. Yeah, I had set up my credentials on the terminal, but I guess they didn't persist between reboots, so that's kind of a shame. Let me see. Let's do a quick sync. Okay. Let me see if I can turn my Steam chat to busy because I don't want to be disturbed. It is busy. I'm just gonna look offline. Did I just sign out of Steam? Interesting. Okay, cool. Sorry for the distractions, folks. Hey, Bluestone. Yeah, I see chat is talking about. So it's not cool to redistribute Delver because you don't have permission to do so. That said, people do torrent and pirate our game, so I'm not going to spend a lot of effort fighting it. Um, I know Dakota means well, so they just kind of back off, guys. Hey, that Bluestone. Let's go over what has happened this past week. So the big thing that happened this past week, this past Tuesday, pretty sure it feels like it's been a long, uh, it feels like it's been a long week, I guess. But we pushed out update number 14 this past Tuesday, which is really, really exciting because that brings official Steam Workshop mod support. And mod support covers a lot of things. Mods can add new weapons, which there are lots of on the workshop right now, which is really cool. You can also add new monsters. You can add new dungeon areas. Also, you can translate Delver. Right now, there are four languages supported besides English, which is really cool. So I want to thank all you folks out there who have supported us with the modding effort. And real quick, I'll just lead. I wrote down the names of people who have done it so far. So it looks like Lobo Chezzy, Nugger91, Seven Soul, Elemental XD, Bluestone, Mark Sally, Drakenson, and Louis Carl. Thank you folks so much for taking the time and effort to make a mod for our little game. Bluestone says mod update 14 is great. Are you gonna play some mods today? I'll play some mods, and I'll probably do a very basic like how to start modding tutorial for folks, so I can reference people to that. I still have yet to record like an official video explaining to folks how to do that, but if I could just link them to this stream, that would probably help. Let me see what's going on. Yeah. Also, there is some issues with total conversions. Total conversions use a different, they just don't work well with other mods. Chad and I are working on straightening some of that stuff out. But in the meantime, we probably should list boarding party as a total conversion because they don't play well with other mods. Typically, if you follow if you follow the guidelines we show you about making a mod, all the mods should smash together quite nicely. But if you use the old way of doing it, you potentially could create a total conversion, and then things just don't play well together. So that's not quite true, Dakota. There is something behind the ice door. It's not what you think it is, but there is something back there. So let's look at what happened last week. Looks like last week was kind of a slow week. Let me see. Flattening out hand-built locations to blend. This is some of the, so Chad is working on some support for outdoor areas. Not that we have anything officially planned for outside areas, but Chad is working on an outside mod, which is pretty cool. I guess I fixed the T shape because folks were complaining about how the T looked weird in a font, so I fixed that. Group spawn correctly in overworld tiles, adding ridges, terrain noise, I can paint tiles and textures now, tweaking amplitude. So a lot of this is just Chad's work on the overworld stuff, which I can preview a little bit here. And I think that's about it. Oh yeah, there was a teleport issue with one of the dungeons in pardon me, in one of the dungeon areas. There was a room that was needed to have a teleport blocker in it. I guess I fixed it, but also I plan on for the next update doing a refresh of the dungeon area. So either way, you certainly can use Delvet to get behind that door, but I've seen some people actually get through the door without using Delvet. So that's also interesting how people have figured out how to get through there. So let's take a look at, let me see, let me pop over, because I know Chad also has been working on Overworld Mark II, but it looks like he merged that branch into Develop. So everything should be out of Develop. So that's cool. Let me just fire up his mod and show folks what it's all about. Oh, sorry, Delver, Dungeoneer. Nope. Hippo, Jijo, I have blocked off that area with teleport scrolls so you can't get back there. Our fear was if you accidentally teleport back there, you can't get back out. Hey, Louis Carl, thanks for stopping by. No, there have been a couple people who have legitimately got through the door and got behind it. Okay, so yeah, so let me go to I think yeah. So where does I'm trying to remember where Chad has outside stuff live. There we go. Okay, cool. So let me go to my mods dir. Sorry, folks, and I'm going to make a directory junction, which just basically creates a virtual. It's like a shortcut to a directory, but things treat it like a real directory at a system level, which can be helpful. So we do like outside because we want it in this directory here, and then dot slash mod slash outside. Cool. So now it looks like there's here. Yeah. So is that right? Hmm. So maybe I do need to. So I'm trying to think, where did this stuff live? Test mods. Oh, don't you have test mods? Okay. Okay. So he changed the directory on me. This is our junction, so let me remove the junction. Let me remake it. This is similar to Symlinks for folks who are on a Unix-based system. Cool. So there's the data folder, which was what I was looking for. So now if I launch Delver, we should see the outside mod that Chad is working on. Mark Solly says, hello. Hey, Mark Solly. Thank you for all the mod support you've been doing. I appreciate it. Oh, what did I do? Looks like there's a save compatibility issue. Let me just get rid of my saves. Let's try relaunching that. Yeah, there are definitely issues with if a save file depends on a mod, it will trying to launch it without that mod installed will not be great. Oh, I do have the. Oh man, yeah, I do have the fridge mod installed. That shouldn't matter. That should be okay. Hey, Mazonix, I don't know why it does that, to be honest with you. Oh, it looks like, So I had made some changes, but it looks like Chad didn't pull them in? Weird. Okay. But yeah, this is the outside mod. It's just a big open world for you to explore. And it has little points of interest you can find. Like there should be like little campsites and ruins and stuff like that for you to find out here in the world. But mostly you just kind of explore, and it's just a nice little calm pastoral scene. Because they're in pastoral, it's mostly woodland, to be honest with you. There we go. There's a camp over there. Let's see what's going on over here. Yep, there we go. Just a campfire. Cool. Looks like a paralyzed bow, which is pretty cool. There we go. Yeah, Louis Carl. I was just checking your mod out. So Louis Carl is the translator who did the French translation, which is what I'm playing right now by accident. Yeah. So for better or for worse, there's another campfire over there. Or that's the one I just came from. No, there's a different one. For better or for worse, the dev version also uh, uh, pulls from the Steam Workshop as well. Um, so it can be handy when trying to troubleshoot stuff. Let me see. Hawaii Beach says, um, enable jump. Nope. Jump will break everything. The game has been designed around not jumping, so jumping will remain turned off. Sorry, buddy. Just a different kind of game. So unfortunately, let me uninstall um, the French language pack. But this is, I guess, a good reason for me to pop over to Steam real quick and show you that we have mods. Oh my goodness. So you go to Delver, Community Hub. Come on, Steam. Yeah, look at all these beautiful mods people have out here. So what I need to do is I need to go to browse my subscribed items, and I need to unsubscribe for the Delver en Francais. Sorry. Dakota says, send me that map. Dakota, there is no map for the outside. It's all procedural. Yeah, yeah, we're really excited to see what folks do with the ability to make outside areas. Delver really, like, we don't really plan on using it. Delver is kind of we want to keep it kind of focused to a dungeon crawler, but people can certainly do all kinds of crazy stuff for it. Yeah, let me go talk about some of the stuff on on the workshop right now that I'm excited about. Um, Bill Gabit says sad face. I don't know why sad face, but okay. Sorry, sad face. Louis Carl says, oh, free advertisement for the French mod, and Dakota says, at least you can send me the stuff to make that happen. That stuff is still in development, Dakota. We're trying to get it out soon. We'll probably have a small like patch update that'll add that support. Yeah, there are some admin tools on the right there. So yeah, I guess with kind of any Steam content, you have to kind of accept this end user license agreement, and there is like guidelines for what is and what is not acceptable. You can check that out on your own. Fortunately, we haven't had to really enforce that too much. Um, Hopefully, people don't really make bad stuff with it. But the stuff on um, the workshop is pretty good. Like Javier's weapon expansion pack is pretty amazing. It adds Smash. It adds 33 weapons, 2 shields, and a unique bow. Pardon me, which is insane. And they're actually all pretty well balanced. They kind of fit into Delver very very nicely. They uses the Delver palette, so it all just kind of looks and feels like Delver, which is really cool. Back on the workshop. Yep, there's my guns. There's the boarding party, which total conversions still have an issue, but we're ironing that out. There's my Grey Wizard story pack, Javier's Spanish language pack, Chris's crossbow and hyperlight Delver mod. I haven't played the crossbow mods. Let's play that real quick. So let me just subscribe, and it downloaded. That is a beautiful thing about Delver mods is they're so small. I can just download them and just go. Erase, play. Um, Mark says my mods are 100% fan service. Well, Mark if I remember correctly, if I'm saying your name correctly, you also did the Catalan translation too, which is pretty rad. Ranged, range 2, crossbow. All right, there is our crossbow, and let me get some arrows. So technically, crossbows should shoot bolts. I think Chris probably has them shoot arrows just for convenience. Because then if you have two different ammo types, it gets a little frustrating. Oh, nice. He even has a custom animation for it. Whoa! Oh, and it broke. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay, let's... So maybe it goes a short distance, but has a high damage rate. Let's see what the damage on that is. 5 to 7. It's pretty good. It's a decent amount of damage for a crossbow. There's a monument over there. Enemies typically tend to cluster around these things, but I don't see anybody here. Let me see if I can find somebody to hit with my crossbow. Not my turkey leg, my crossbow. There's a little pond. Again, so how the overworld works is there are some functions that kind of help determine what the overall terrain should look like. And then you hand create these little areas of interest like this pond and the ruins and stuff. And we can plop those in at random intervals to kind of spice things up. Man, why can't I... Again, the overworld is still definitely under development. Right now, I'm not finding any enemies. It's just a big, lonely world. Oh, there's a campfire. Oh, and there's a well with unholy fine short bow, a book. And there's nobody there. Yeah, I think it's a bug because I think all of these areas should have enemies in them. So I think it's not correct. Cool. But yeah, the crossbow seems to work pretty darn good. Let me go ahead and let me see. Let me undo that junction. So okay, let me see. Ba, 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 ba. Cool. Yeah. Let me see. So folks talking in chat, let me address that a little bit. Javier says I'm integrating all our mods into Spanish translation. Yeah, that's really cool. That's awesome. You are, I guess, ambitious enough to do that. But yeah, Delver does support that, which is nice. Pixel Twitch says, does small translate into easy make? I'm 30 years old. Never done anything game dev wise, but I'm looking for a stepping stone. Yeah, so actually here, Pixel Twitch in a little bit, I'm going to kind of walk through the steps of making a mod. At the bare minimum, making like items is pretty darn easy. You can just copy and paste some text, change some values, and draw a little picture, and you're pretty much done. Let me see. So Javier, yeah, Mark's allowed me to make the Dark Souls one. Yeah, again, if you guys if you're interested in like what mods kind of look like, I do have a Delver example mod repo out on GitHub. So it's github.com/Joshua Skelly /Delver-example mods. You can see that up here. And this just has, these are all this example mods here. So this character story pack kind of shows you what it takes to make some items. So I have a picture of the items. I have a picture of the mod preview. In the data folder, I have the item definitions. Um, and you can basically just copy one of these item definitions, and you can kind of just modify it as to how you like. And there's also a sprite sheet definition that just kind of tells the engine how to use the new image you just provided it. But yeah, so Delaware example mods. There's also some of the language packs live out here. So the German, English, Spanish, and French ones live out here. My gun mod lives out here. I created a dungeon shopkeeper mod. Some of these mods I should probably push out to the workshop, even though they're silly. Maybe I should do some art for this guy because now it's just Joff that just sells cheese. But and I try to provide documentation too. So if you click on the language pack in US, there's a little README here that kind of talks about the structure of the data and kind of how to work with it. And also you can look at, I have the English, so I have the English language strings. So you can use the strings like that as a starting point, but also you can look at the Spanish or the French or the German translations to see what those kind folks have done. Hey Chad, hey, thanks for stopping by. So Hawaii Beach says, give us the map or right. There is no map. And Hippo Jijo guessed correctly. The overworld isn't technically infinite, but I think it's limited by like 32-bit floating point numbers, so it's pretty big. Yeah, again, the outside part isn't going to ship with Delver, but it will be made available to people who want to make mods with it. Let me see. Bluestone said, I think you forgot to add the German strings to the Steam translation link post. Oh, I can do that real quick for you. Yeah. I don't know, like I need to figure out a better way to communicate. Like right now I have a little tag called translations and you can hit that and it brings up all the, ooh, you updated your cover page too, that's nice. So I've been tagging these manually. I think there's a way to do it through the modinfo.json, but I guess I've just been really kind of creeping the workshop and just like manually updating people's mods with tags because it's Steam UI is not great for doing that manually. But yeah, this is Bluestone's German translation, and it does have all the as much as we expose, he has translated. There's still that button there we need to fix. But I think our translation stuff right now is it's pretty decent. It covers a good chunk of the game. Yeah, no, the German translation is already out there. I think actually somebody also, let me see. It looks like he has 50 subscribers, which is pretty good, and people are, I guess, speaking in German, so apparently it is a decent translation. Again, I don't speak German, but I really appreciate your effort. Pixel Twitch says, for my first mod, I want to make the painkiller steak gun. You could technically do that by making it a bow. I think that would be a thing you could do. Cool, you already own Delver. Excellent. Thank you for your support. Right now, there is no in-game mod management. No subscribing or toggling on or off. That might be nice, but that would be a Chad question as far as level of effort and whether we can do it or not. Let me think what else. Yeah, so Mark Sully has a Berserk sword. Chris has like a Hyperlight Delver and a crossbow mod. Also, I want to say there's a classic Delver pack, which is pretty cool. It works well. For the folks who always say I want to see the old textures, they're there. Chris has a Jungle Nomad pack, so Chris has quite a few mods out there, which is really cool. Bluestone has a Spears mod. And Hike has his spiders to scorpions, which is kind of a nice, people who are afraid of spiders, you can switch the spiders over to scorpions. There's people who are, I don't know, like a lot of folks who are on my stream are actually modders, which is really rad, and I appreciate it. But there are some folks who are making mods that they don't have to stop by. So That's also really cool. And this is Dakota's mod. Right now, it just has a boxelized campfire, which is cool. I think also he also let me subscribe to it real quick. I think he also added some new music, which I think makes the download kind of big, but it's still like only like 16 meg or something like that, or 6.7 meg, so it's not so bad. Let me go back to community. Let me uninstall anything I have installed. Yeah, let's unsubscribe for that, and let's play some Delver. Yeah, so Dakota added a new splash screen. He added apparently his mod is at version 1.0, and I think he added a voxel model for the campfire. So if you go over here, there's a voxel model for it, which is cool. And I believe Dakota, I think that's the extent of your mod, right? I guess we can always take a peek into the mod directory and see what's going on there. And this, I'm just peeking in this is the Steam Workshop directory. So yeah, he has a new title MP3 that he's playing. He has looks like a new dungeon stuff. A new start level, a brazier and a campfire. So he's done a little bit more than maybe he's listing there. Let me see. I did not link to the German. I did not link to the German's strings, but I did. I did talk about it, and I need to figure out a way to better promote our translations. Like I did have a subscribe. So if you go back to let me see the workshop here, there's a tag on the right that has translations, and there is these are the 4 translations available. I also didn't. We only linked to I think Javier and Louis' translations. Did we? I don't think we linked to Bluestone's or Mark Solly's. I don't know why. I think Chad was the one who created the news announcements. We're not trying to slight anybody, and we do appreciate all your hard work. And again, like I said, it looks like folks have commented, and you have a good number of subscribers. That's pretty cool. Oh, the GitHub. Oh, let's go to the example. I have a pull request from Bluestone. Yeah, let me look at the changes real quick. Yeah, it looks like just wording changes. There's a punctuation right there. That's the real change. And some word stuff there. Cool. He changed the text on the save slot. And it looks like he's adding, there's a whole bunch of different, I think, Bluestone, I think you requested, I think you requested having these, let me see. Yeah, these things more easily translatable. I think I did that. So yeah, this looks good. Let me just go ahead and commit those changes or merge in his pull request. Thank you, Bluestone. I greatly appreciate that. Cool. Thank you again. Let me see. All right, so actually, let me just go through a small, like getting started with modding. Okay. So we can kind of just back out to games, and what you can do is to get started with modding, you're going to need a text editor. I use VS Code or Sublime Text, or you could even use Notepad, whatever you have. Um, it doesn't matter. You just have to edit some text. It's not a big thing. But I will use VS Code because I like the way it handles just like a directory structure project, and I can also do some like pretty syntax coloring, stuff like that. So right click here, and you're going to go to properties, and you're going to go to local files, and you're going to browse local files. What this is going to do is it's going to open up, this is where Delver lives on your hard drive. In my case, it's program files, Steam, CMapS, Common, Delver. For most folks, if you go with the default Steam install, this is where it's going to live. So if you want to start working on your mod, you can do it the old-fashioned way by right-clicking and say New Folder Mods. And any mods in here we will pull from. Now what you can also do is if you find this delver.jar, you can right-click, and with a program like 7-zip or WinZip or WinRAR or any other archive utilities, you can actually open up it as just an archive file. And okay, come on 7-zip. Oh, it's on my other screen, sorry. Duh. And what this is this is the pack jar file. What it allows you to do is say, let's go mods, new folder. These are, let's call it Delver resources. And then I can select everything and just extract them here. And this is how I actually started modding Delver, even before mod support was um, fully integrated. And this was probably made 3 years ago. Sure. And then what this is it's not exactly a super useful mod, but these are all the resources that we use to make Delver. So this is even some more stuff too. Like these, let me get rid of the DLLs because we don't need those. So like the DLL, dilibs, all that stuff. The stuff I have here is just those are just libraries that we use internally. You don't have to worry about that. Same thing for these .so files. Don't need those. Don't need that. Don't need JavaZoom, net.org, shaders, save, com. Okay, but this should be all the resources now. So if you look at, let me go ahead and just open up this with, so Steam, Steam apps, Common, Delver, mods, Delver resources. And we can look at this and we see we have, like here, like this is the boss, which is cool. You know, you can see all the different sprite sheets that we have for the various enemies. And what you can also do is if you look at the data folder, these have a lot of the definitions for things. So the sprite sheets have definitions on how to slice up the sprites. So if you look at, say, entities_cave, also there should be inside this sprite sheets an entities cave. So let's search for cave. And what it is this definition here says there are 16 columns on this image. So let me split this real quick. It's over here. Now this one I will open up entities cave. So this image is 16 columns. So we indicate that. And we say it's the file name is entitiescave.ping, which is the name of this file. And then we give it a name internally to reference for Delver, which is entities cave. So do note, we take the width of your image and divide it by the columns. So in this case, that will be 32 pixels. And then we assume that all the sprites are square. So that means they're 32 by 32 pixels. And then here in the monsters, we define, if you look for entities_cave, this is how we reference that image. So this is a spider, and let me see. For example, its walk animation starts on frame 32, ends on frame 35. So this is frame 32, 33, 34, 35. So these 4 frames, 32, 33, 34, 35. So these 4 frames here make up the spider walk animation. And also, I mean, this is how these animations work, but also for items, it's similar. So we look at items.ping. Here's a big sheet of all the items. And if we look at, again, up here, we have a sprite sheets.dat. If you look for items, you can see this one has 8 columns. If you look here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. And for some odd reason, we scale the items by 0.5. We call the internal sprite sheet atlas item. And if you go to items.dat, again, you can look for. I think they default to items, but I think some things use a separate atlas as well. So like the sprite atlas unique. So we have unique items now. So if you go to unique.ping, these are all the unique items in the game. There aren't a lot, but these are the ones we have now. And again, that's kind of how things are set up. Hey, 9Remix9, yeah, cool. Thank you for the support. Yeah, we're still working on Delver. We're trying to get it finished up. And this is what my stream is all about. So let's do a simple item mod so folks know how to do that. So I'm going to let me go back to my mods, and I'm going to create a new folder, and let's call this. Throw some ideas at me. Let's make an item. Let's make. People seem to like weapons, but you can also make armor. You can also make food. Let's just call this stream example mod. So let me also, let me just open up the mods directory here. Dakota says make an automatic crossbow. That's just basically a gun. Hawaii Beach has skip intro mod. Folks are asking for it, Hawaii, so I'm not going to skip it. So new folder. We need a data folder because that's where a lot of the data definitions live. Let me see. We create a new file in here. Let's call it sprite sheets.dat. And if you look over here in the Delver resources, data sprite sheets, we can see the structure. It is a list of objects. So I can just copy this first chunk here, and then I can paste that, get rid of that comma, then add a closing square brace. And this is all we really need to do a custom. So whatever image file here, you would just put the name there, and you would just say, you know, image, or whatever you want to call it. So let's just call it example image, and the sprite sheet is called example image. Cool. Let's save that. And I guess just for brevity, I'm just going to copy one of my old so I'm just going to copy out my character story pack. So this mage items, I'm just going to copy it here. But that is just, you just need to make a, I call it example items. Any image you want to make. Bluestone says, is something like shuriken possible? We could do shuriken. Yeah, let's try that. Let's try that. So we have example image. So example, let's just call this file name is shuriken, and this is shuriken. Okay, save. And let's go to Photoshop. Let's file open. Actually, real quick, let's I need to make sure that stuff agrees. So shuriken.ping, let me rename my, rename this to shuriken.ping. Let's open up our shuriken.ping. So Steam apps, common, Delver, mods. And there's my example mod, and then shuriken. And then all you really need, so all we're really going to need is just a simple 32 by 32 image. So let me just grab the top 32 by 32 pixels here and just use the crop tool to make it, that didn't quite work the way I wanted it to. 32 by 32. Okay, and let's draw. Hey, our senior dev. Thank you for stopping by chat. Okay. Oh, come on, Wacom tablet. Why are you broken? There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to use probably this gray off of the hat because that seems to be close to what we want to make already. And real quick, let's find a sweet shuriken. Yep, there's all kinds of sweet throwing stars, throwing knives. Actually, this kind of throwing knife might be easier because I don't know if I can make it rotate, but I can treat it like that. So let's try this. I can do it. So we're just gonna draw a real quick throwing dagger looking thing. It's probably not gonna be beautiful, but I don't know. I like, I don't know, like I think it's more important here just to show how mod is made. Okay. Try and get that even. There we go. Crimson Skies 13 says, "Hi, sorry to ask this, but how do mods get curated by you? Or is it a free-for-all? If yes, why curation? Afraid of copyright infringement or want to avoid possibility of putting swastikas everywhere? Greetings from Austria. Sorry for reposted this. Don't know if my first comment though." Hey, so we don't really curate mods. Steam just has some algorithm that just bubbles the popular and the recent ones to the top. It's kind of magic, and we don't really have much control over it. If there is offensive content, people can report that, and we can take them down. But yeah, that's about it, really. Let me see. Just kind of try to find a nice little shape for this. Also maybe fix some of these pixels. I know I said I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it, but I'm probably going to spend some time on it. I don't know. Let's do something like that, something like that. Maybe thicken this up just a touch. Okay. Also, let me take a look. A lot of times I go and I reference so again, let me go. So since you saw me extract all the Delver resources, a lot of times I just go to like one of the item sheets we already have, just to kind of get a good like reference on how things should look. So I'll probably use the same kind of color scheme off of the Iron Dagger because that's close in color to what I want to do. So that's just I'm just going to lift the palette from there. and that way things stay nice and kind of internally consistent. This is exactly what Javier did, and his stuff it merges very, very nicely with Delver as a result. Actually, I think I do a highlight on this part. So let's do that, and then I put like a really bright highlight somewhere along there. Maybe let's look at my reference image before I get too far gone. It has this kind of there's a little bit of a grip there, but I don't know if it's a real grip. And it has this kind of a leaf shape to it. There's also a bit of a shading change there in the middle. Maybe I can kind of indicate that. Maybe I can darken, yeah, this part up, darken that part up, make the highlight go a bit darker. Let me put a little bit of a highlight here. Again, just trying to play around with shapes. And sometimes when you're working pretty low resolution, you gotta just fiddle with things a little bit until you find something you like. Well, that's probably good enough for demo purposes, right? So let's save that. You want to save it as a ping, shuriken.ping, replace, fine, cool. So now over here we have shuriken. It is only a single column, so one. We need to make a new file. We need to make it called items.dat. And let's take a peek at, again, the Delver resources, items.dat. So here it is. And what I want to do is I want to find the bow, and I'm going to copy how that works. So let's find bow. Cool. But I also need to do, it's just not quite that simple, so we need to have a set of curly braces, and then it needs to be ranged. And I think the ranged, yeah. So ranged also needs curly braces. And inside that we have, these are our like tiers or categories of ranged. So the 1 corresponds to roughly where in the dungeon you'll find it. So this is on dungeon level 1. Arsino says, question about mod selection. Will there be a menu to pick mods and enable and disable? I addressed that earlier, but I think maybe that's a question Chad and I need to talk about. That would be nice. It'd be a good quality of life improvement. But there's nothing set in stone about it. But thank you, Arsenio, for your question. And then let me copy this, and then paste in. Okay, so I think the problem with the bow is the bow expects a certain format. So if we look at items, these items.ping, the bows, unfortunately, they expect 4 images, and each one is offset by 8. So I'm going to have to make this, let me just change my sprite sheet here. So let's go image, canvas size, let's go calc. 32 times 8 is 256. So the width is 256. I need to make it 128 tall. Because unfortunately, this is just a side effect of making it a bow. But the nice thing about making it a bow is it means it will behave like a bow. So we can retrieve them, they'll stick into walls, all that good stuff. So let's save, shuriken.ping, up, fine. Then we need to make sure to update our sprite sheet. So now our sprite sheets have 8 columns. And then for here at the bow, our texture is now 0 because this is the first texture in the sheet. So it should go, so if you count every 32 by 32 block, it should go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16, 24 is how that should work. Also real quick, let me just clean up this this JSON because it's not. See if I flip over the encoding or the language mode to JSON, we have some errors. So let me go ahead and fix that. And there's one of the community members made a really handy tool, and I just need to save a link to it somewhere because I always have to dig through my. There we go. My Twitter history to find it, but this is a cool little tool that was written to help that will convert sloppy JSON into nice JSON. So you can just paste in the Delver JSON, because the Delver JSON uses this JSON format that's kind of proprietary to the libgdx framework that we use. So process, and then also you can use a JSON formatter, and this one is pretty print or clean it up prettily. This is invalid. Did I goof up something? Oh, I still got issues. There we go. Let's copy that and then paste that. There we go. Let me see. So Javier says, I'm interested to see how you've changed the projectile item. Yeah. So what we need to do is we need to define a bow. And then we also need to define item stack. So right below it. So let me copy that and do the, let me just real quick. So under here, let's put actually let me just run that through the beautifier stuff real quick. So over here, process, Control A equals C, and over here, Control A, V, process, copy. I'm just going to paste this little snippet below. I think I can do, let me see. Yeah, so this needs to be like this and that. There we go. I think I can do F1 format, document, Alt-Shift-F. There we go. That cleans that up nicely. So let's do a few things here. So the item type stack, I think that's what the thing that counts. Let me take a look at the source code real quick. Bow. Stack. So it's looking for a specific type called missile. Stack type of arrow. Does Bo care about stack type? Stack type, no. This might not work the way I want it to work then. Because I know guns use a similar system. So for a gun, you can specify an ammo type, and that's the type of stack it uses. But for bows, that is not true. Let me see. This might be hacky. So this needs to be texture 0. This also needs to be needs to have the shuriken. And the same thing for our projectile. Hey, Jason, thanks for the host. I appreciate it. Okay, what's complaining about here? Oh, trailing comma. So shuriken, this is a shuriken. That should be fine. Yeah, I think the bow right now is actually hard-coded just to do any type of missile. So this is curious. So what I can say is the name is shuriken. Shuriken. And I think this might work, but it also might just use it might just we'll see how this works. Also, let me delete this Delver Resources stuff here because we don't need that anymore. Delete that. Let's close that. Try again. What is using that? Let me close. Maybe Photoshop has a file handle on that. Try again. Cancel. What has that open? Let me just close all this. Nah. There we go. And let's, that should be enough to get our example mod going. Let's run that and see if it works. Arsenio says, I might do a mod to bring back the classic dungeons. There's already a mod out there that brings back the classic textures. If you look at the workshop, there is a classic texture pack. You could certainly do a classic dungeon pack. You can either do, be wary if you do a total conversion, that will kind of, it makes it hard to integrate, but you can also, there's a new dungeon, there's a new way of doing dungeon sections that allows them to integrate with existing Delver dungeons. So you can actually make the dungeon deeper, and you could do that. You can make new dungeon areas based off the old stuff. That would be cool. Again, if you go to my GitHub page, I have a boilerplate on how to do a basic dungeon. So ranged 1. Did I not do it? Let me see. Let's look. Let me think. I'm pretty sure I put it in ranged group 1. Let's look at my, did I close out my VS Code instance? Why did I do that? So items ranged 1, that should be good. Sprite sheets, items.dat, this should be all right. Let me think. Bluestone says, so how high is the chance that the overworld like that at the beginning, but with more dungeons will be implemented? Let me think. So in official capacity, we're not going to do it. but I know Chad wants to add support for that, so folks can hook it up if they want, if that makes sense. So you'll be able to create your own outdoor mod or your outside mod. Chad's going to publish the one when he's done, and he also wants to add support for multiple dungeons, but that's kind of up in the air. We're still talking about what that's going to mean, but that would be in a mod capacity and not in an official capacity. But yeah, we're thinking about it. This is in ranged one. Um, and I'm going to take a quick break, folks. I will be back in just a short moment. All right, I am back. Let me see. Bluestone says great ideas. Anyways, yeah, I think letting the modders have interesting tools will be really cool. And Arsenio says, what was Delph Shock? Delph Shock was a silly joke that I did for another developer. Basically, I recreated his game in the Delver engine. I think I showed it on a stream a while back. Let me see. So we need to figure out why this is not being hooked up correctly. Let me just try running it again one more time. Make sure there's no error issues. Because generally, if it fails to load a mod, it will spit out something in the console output. So that's something that can be a useful debugging tool. Ranged. Yeah, I goofed something up, and I'm not sure what. Pixel Titan's alt zone. Hey, Pixel Titan folks. I think so far the launch for the mod support has been pretty good. We don't have any. I mean, I guess I haven't looked at any real direct numbers, but we have seen a small bump in our baseline user base, which is cool. Let me look at. Let me just compare this real quick to file, open file. Let me look at repositories, GitHub. I'm going to refer back to my example mods to see what I'm doing wrong. Items.dat. So that looks fine. Let me split this out. These are all uniques, which isn't super helpful. Class bow, type bow. I'm sure this item type properties. That's interesting. Um, um, let me see. That looks fine. Got a sweet shuriken. Let me try just debugging stuff real quick and see if I. Yeah, let's just do that. Mods found. It is not finding my mod. Did I put it in the wrong spot? I'm pretty sure that's where it's supposed to go. Um, Let me check that one more time. Game get internal mods. Let's step in there. So it's not okay. Yeah. So it's relative to where this is. So this directory is relative to where Delver is being ran, whereas the Steam Workshop directory is absolute. So let me just move this over to the correct spot real quick. That's why. Because I'm running this from source and not from the. There we go. From the Steam executable. That's cool that you guys have a Discord server going. Ranged. There we go. Okay. Shuriken. Okay, so I also need to spawn. Yeah, this is going to not be confusing. Ranged. The second one should be the actual ammo. GFX error. Okay, sweet. Okay. So it looks like this stuff might be hard coded. Let me take a look at that. Okay, so so I think I had that set up correctly. Let me see if yeah, it looks like it does not honor sprite sheets. Dang it. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, that was my best guess. Maybe we can shore this up a little bit. Maybe I'll make a, let me go ahead and just make a feature request for this because I think it would be nice to have this. So let me just pull up GitHub, issues, new issue, support for custom bows, summary, mod support for custom bow like weapons. Should be able to handle different ammo types similar to how guns do. Also the netlist property. Let's say labels feature work. Let's put it under the next milestone. And I think this is good enough for now. So submit the issue. Cool. So that way we don't forget about it. So let me see. Bluestone says, would it be possible to make potion grenades? Sort of. But if you made it like a potion grenade, then it would explode like a grenade, if that makes sense. Pixel Titans Alt Zone says, what makes the bows different from guns? So, in some ways they're similar, in some ways they're not. So I think it looks like bows are hard-coded to always use arrows, and guns are, you can use a different, basically you can more flexibly define different ammo types. So for example, let's look at my gun mod again real quick, so I can talk about this, I guess. Then we could do another directory junction. Delver or GitHub. Delver dash example mods, items, guns. Cool. Now if we launch the editor. If you do download the gun mod, I do include a shooting range level in there for you to play around with the guns. So if you go File, Open, you can browse to wherever the mod lives. Usually it's in Program Files, Steam Apps, Workshop, Content, and there's a unique ID for Delver, and there's a unique ID for the gun mod. And then you find Levels, and then Shooting Range, Load. And I have all the guns kind of arrayed out here, so you can, grab a gun, like the shotgun. You also need to grab some ammo for it, and then you can play with the shotgun. So if we look at just some of the basic properties on a bow and on a gun, so entity basic bow. Also, I guess the texture is not set up correctly. My bad. There we go. So it has just the basic, how much damage it does, how much knockback it does, how fast it is it two-handed or not, the visual stuff. But guns have a, here, let me add a place entity, guns, that's a different example guns, shotgun. So here, you have all the damage stuff again. The cycle time is unique for guns. This is how fast in sequence you can fire. This limits both semi and fully auto. This shell ammo type must match up to this stack ammo type. So again, I could place an entity, example guns, and then shells. So this is a item stack that has type shell, and this is a gun that uses ammo type shell. It means similarly, you can place, like if I were to change this to say stack type arrow, I should actually be able to pick that up and use it with the bow. So let's see if that's true. Maybe not. I thought that was true. Maybe the bow is a little bit more unique than I thought it was. So yeah, so here I can take this back to shell, and then the gun will work with it, or ammo type shell. There we go. And then also it has some gun specific stuff, like the amount of like for the number of projectiles it shoots, the spread, number of particles. You can also do ammo per shot, which is useful. So like the double barrel uses 2, the cannon I think uses 4. Let me see. Let's see. Could you do the same way you make a plasma gun? Yeah, so if you right click and you go to Entity, Guns, Gun Wand, these are our auto gun wand, auto projectile gun wand, and place Entity, Guns, let me see where to go, Guns, Ammo. So these are the stock ones you can play around with. So you can pick up the gun wand and the ammo. And this is basically a plasma gun. I've burned through my ammo pretty quick there. You could do something like that, but the thing is guns don't shoot missiles. They just shoot like projectiles, which are kind of in the same vein as spells. So you couldn't retrieve the dagger. It's kind of the problem there. Yeah, making a new sword is pretty darn easy. Yeah, hopefully, even though I couldn't successfully get a bow made, there are some issues with that. Well, I technically kind of got it working, but it's not super great. Yeah, making swords and armor is pretty darn easy. Again, yeah, if you go to the GitHub page and kind of follow along with the example mods, like the character story pack is a way to do it. And this just shows you how to make unique stuff, but it's pretty easy. Yeah, maybe I should take the time to actually write some script and actually make a better video tutorial. Sorry, folks. What else? I got about maybe 40 minutes left on my stream. If there's anything you'd like to see me do, cool. If not, maybe I'll work on my Grey Wizard mod, because I know Chris for his mod has some unique story bits, and I would like to do that as well. Make a unique sword, a swordfish. I could make a swordfish. We could try that, sure. Yeah, we could do that. So let's do GitHub example mods, character story pack. Let's make the silly swordfish, I guess. Items like that. I'm just going to copy out this sword definition here, and go here. And then since this didn't work out, but we can do unique. And uniques, I think, are just a list, right? Yeah, they're just a list of things. So paste that there, and let's flip over to JSON just to make sure we're doing things correctly. There we go. Let's fix that trailing comma. And we don't care about this range stuff anymore. Sorry, Shuriken suggestion. But I did put in a request for support for different types of bows. So we'll see. Um, we'll see how that goes. So hopefully in the last 40 minutes I can crank out a swordfish. Um, so yeah, sprite sheets.dat. Let's just rename this to swordfish.ping and swordfish. Save. So this name needs to agree with uh, this sprite atlas. So there we go. Let's also, where's Photoshop? Let's open recent. Shuriken. Oh yeah, because I moved it. So repositories, GitHub, Delver, Engineer, Assets, Mods, Examples mod, Shuriken. And we don't need it this big anymore because the bows are special. All we really need is two 32 by 32s. We need a broken and an unbroken version of our swordfish. Also, let me just open up the items.ping just to have something to reference for colors and whatnot. So we'll just kind of tuck that over in this side of the screen so you folks can see that. Okay. Also, let's again, swordfish. So here's what a swordfish looks like. Duplicate swordfish sword. Ooh, wow. So some of these are not as silly as others. Some are like really mean looking like swordfish bill swords. Now that's more what I'm thinking. These are sawfish bills, excuse me, not swordfish, but yeah. Yeah, the swordfish is more like a marlin. Um, yeah, let's just do it. Whatever. um, cool. So let me just get rid of all that, and let's just try to block out what it should look like. And let me just go. Oh, did I lose my reference pick already? Nope, I didn't. Let's. Yeah, any of these is fine. Let me just grab this one. View image, copy, Control N, V. Let's pop this out. Turn off the grid. There we go. Just kind of put that somewhere out here so we can reference that as well. Okay. So I just want to right now. I just want to use a solid color and block out a good swordfish shape. They have a tail. So I think I might just literally draw a swordfish, and that'll be a thing. Okay, and then add some bulk for the fish's body. I'm probably going to exaggerate the proportions here because so you can get details you can actually read. I'm going to make it just thicker than it normally would be. Okay, and they have some sort of fin on their back there. Sweet, and then a fin here. And then another fin. I'm sure these fins have names, and I'm sure as a child I probably knew them, but now I don't because I'm a dumb adult. Okay. Okay, it should come to a point, right? So let's just try to exaggerate that a little bit. Cool. There we go. I got some of the other swordfish images. Were they blue, or did they just look blue because they're underwater? No, they're kind of a white and blue color. Maybe white and there's kind of a brownish, like gold stripe down the side. So wow, that's a big old swordfish. Let's do that. Let's just try to block in some colors now. Um, what can be helpful is, let me arrange this a little bit, is slide that over. Man. I'm going to put my item sheet behind my head, so I'm just going to be pulling colors from there, so if you can't see what I'm doing, I'm just picking colors off of that. And let me push this up over here. Now I can't see what I'm doing. Dang it. Okay, let me just, there we go. That should work. And over here, you can control click this just to make a selection out of just these pixels. So now I can add a new layer, and then I can, sorry, Control H to hide that. So I can just, when I paint a new color, it will only paint on the pixels I have selected. And that's just it's just a simple selection mask. There are many other ways you can do this in Photoshop, but that is just an easier one. So I think for my white, it's kind of this warm cream color, but let's just throw that on there anyways. That probably won't be so bad. And I need a blue. I do have blues. Like off the sword blade, that's probably an okay blue. Let me run it down this way. Again, not too picky, just trying to block out colors and how I think things ought to look. And then maybe that kind of a goldy brown color to go down the side. What should this come from? Maybe off of the wood? Maybe is that a good? Let me try just drawing a little bit down here. Yeah, that looks all right. Then maybe these guys are also that. Maybe, or should they be the blue color? Not sure. Okay. That would be fun, Mark Solly. You can also, what you could do is if you look at the items.dat that ships with Delver, there should be a there's a decorations. Wait, no, there's a junk. I think you can put anything in junk, but I'm not sure. But I think you can. Let me double check that. But I think. Yeah, so you can throw anything into that junk field if you want to add your worthless items to junk. So it won't mess up the people's weapon drop rate, but instead of getting like skulls or books, you can get the worthless weapons, which would still, I think it would still be, it wouldn't totally tank gameplay, but it would still be funny. Okay. And also really quick, I'm going to just go back behind here, make a selection of this dark. Maybe make it a dark blue. I have a dark blue somewhere on my sheet. Maybe yeah, from the mace. And also, like, I'm also not super strict either with my color choices. Like, if I can't find a color I like, I'm not afraid just to pick one out of thin air. Okay, let me just tidy up the AA a little bit. Yeah, this would kind of be trying to think what like this would be. Go to my eyedropper. Let's do a 3x3 average and just pick here. It's going to be kind of a gray. I think I have gray. Let me quickly put my eyedropper back to point, and then I'm just going to pick one of these. I'm just trying to find a good color to kind of blend these between. And you can also throw on top a hue saturation adjustment layer, and you can turn the sat all the way down just to see if the values kind of gel. No, it kind of works okay. Let me pick this darker shade maybe. Is that? Because I'm trying to find a nice halfway, something that's halfway. That's too light. That might be okay. I'm just not sure if it's working. Then will this one work here? We could try that and see how that works. I guess he has an eyeball, right? That should live somewhere here. All right, there we go. Don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this because it's just a silly thing. I'm not even sure how does this move you? It just kind of darkens. That's fine. Yeah, so real quick, let me just merge that down, throw away my adjustment layer. And then I can just duplicate this. Then file, save as. And this is going to be a ping. Delver uses ping, so this is going to be swordfish.ping. I don't care about compression. Okay. Close that. Then open up swordfish.ping. Put it back here. And for our example mod, sorry, wrong window. Let's go to items.dat, sprite sheet. So we don't need shuriken anymore. We can get rid of that. Swordfish is what we want. The sprite sheet hooks up swordfish.ping to swordfish. Items, the sword, my type is sword, that's fine. The texture is 0. The broken texture is 1. Right now they're identical, it doesn't matter, but these are textures 0 and 1. This is called swordfish. I don't want any base mods, I can get rid of that. Save that. It is a unique. It is in a unique category. Both these need to be. So if a unique also needs to be in this unique category for it to spawn as a unique. Otherwise, it will just spawn as a normal weapon just with yellow colored text. I mean, you could fiddle with the damage and knockback and all that stuff all day long, but this should be enough to get it going. So let's give it a shot. Nope. So people keep saying like the broken version of the swordfish is a rotten or a skeleton, or yeah, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. Whatever you think you want. Yeah, so I get K, unique swordfish. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, so what happened is I didn't specify the correct number of columns, so it doesn't know how to chop out the sprite. So let's fix that. So if we go back to our sprite sheets, we've said it has 8 columns, but actually it only has 2. So let's fix that. And the scale for weapons is 0.5. So let's fix that. And now let's relaunch. Okay. Cool. So K, unique swordfish. There we go. We probably need to play with the Y offset, as you can tell. But it should be sized correctly. Yeah. And we have our swordfish. Yep. So to do the Y offset, um, I think you do it here on the actual sprite sheet, maybe. Let's look at the data items. Spreadsheets. Yeah, most items have a Y offset of 0.25. So I'm just going to copy that over for our swordfish offset. Save. um, yeah, I think Chad, you and Javier were talking about maybe having potentially animated sprites for weapons, which would be really rad. Because then you could have like a skeleton arm that is wiggling while you use it. Unique swordfish. There we go. It's our little swordfish fella. Yeah. Smack you with the fish. I think you could even. I'm pretty sure you can have unique sounds uh, for the attack and for the hit and stuff. I'm pretty sure. Chad can correct me, but I think you can. Yeah. Swordfish to death. Yeah, it's a pretty lethal swordfish. Speed. There we go. All right, time to go back to the ocean, little buddy. What? Oh, okay. Um, Let me see. So I think that's all I'm going to take. That's all as far as I'm going to take that one. Um, it is silly. Um, Maybe I'll noodle a little bit on the art. Maybe I won't. It's just a silly, silly thing. Yeah, I have 15 minutes left, so maybe I'll just kind of noodle around on this. And if you folks have requests, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of do this for a little while, and then we can call it a stream. He has a gill, right? So let's make the gill kind of happen here. And it should be a little bit lighter on the side of the gill, I think. Maybe. Sweet. Um, they also have a mouth. Can I pixel in a mouth at that resolution? I don't know. Um, Maybe let me pull some of the lighter tones here. I can do a little bit of shading on this guy. Really polish up our swordfish. Make it a really nice mod. You're just playing with colors, not too worried about it. Trying to think. I don't know if this quite reads as an eye. I can make it even bigger. That's probably too big. What else? Playing with sellout. Probably make it brighter on the top side. Just fine. I like those dark bits there. Just could thicken the band a little bit here. Just fixing a little banding issue. I'm sure there's banding all over the place. Not gonna lose any sleep over it though. What else? Squint. I don't know, just the eye isn't reading like an eye to me. It's kind of bugging me, though I know it shouldn't. Just make a new layer and just play around with what the eye could look like. Make it bigger. That doesn't read quite as well. Yeah, so they're suggesting I make the, I can just make the broken swordfish and be happy about that. I think I'll just make it a skeleton. That should be fairly easy to do. There we go. Here's my bone reference. Let's just do something like this. Let's go B, grab this, and I'm just going to control click that. No, here, control click. Okay. Delete the eye. And over here, I'm just going to fill in this dark bone color. Use a big brush and just do it fast. Okay, and then now let's make a new layer and just start with the white and just kind of quickly flesh in what the bones ought to look like. It doesn't have to be super accurate. You should have a little spine, little fishy ribs. A little eye hole. Make his little mouth. That should go all the way back here. Interesting. Javier said he's found 2 lucky daggers. Only one was unique. That is strange. That shouldn't happen. It shouldn't. Sword. Yeah, let me go back over here. Let's do the scary version, which is the swordfish skeleton. Swordfish. Yep. Ooh, I forgot that sometimes fish have that cartilage around their eyes, which is really cool. And then, of course, you have the fins. Yeah, let's do that. There's no rib bones. Wait, there are rib bones there. Wait. Weird. They have more. Yeah, I was not expecting them not to really have any rib bones. That is a twist. Okay. So swordfish really don't have rib bones. They just have a little let's just do that. And that. Yeah. Gotcha. So how you're saying when it was the case we only had one unique item? Yeah, that might be where it tries to because we try to only spawn one unique item, and if it's trying to drop another unique and there aren't any, ooh, that actually attaches up here at the head. Okay, um, and there are just a couple of little baby ribs there, and there are plenty of old ribs down the back here. Let me fix how that was working. I don't know if I could do I mean, the eye thing is cool, but I'd have to make it really big. Like I'd have to make it like that big, and even still, that wouldn't quite work. I'm just gonna make a normal kind of looking eye hole. Okay, I think does the little last fin have any bone slash cartilage in it? It must. A tiny bit. Okay, now I'm just gonna kind of just pick and do some AA because it's my favorite thing to do. So we'll try to keep the stuff on the light side up here, mostly light. Kind of have these taper off a little bit. Maybe have the head kind of defined a little bit from the fin where it attaches. Um, oh, folks, this is going to be a thing of beauty. Hawaii Beach asked, why does FOV keep resetting itself? It seems like a few of the options keep resetting themselves. I'm not quite sure. We haven't done any investigations into that. Um, um, my hunch is it might be related to some of the look stuff we've done, but I'm not entirely sure until we actually look into it. And then this pink one, just for some pretty. There we go. Some light, some really light AA. It's not quite working the way I want it to. Again, just trying to emphasize that these are rib bones. Trying to figure out what are good shapes. That works a little bit better. Something like that. Yeah, I'm digging that, right? So let's again, that's nice and silly. So let's just merge all this stuff down. Let's save it. And I think I already have it hooked up correctly. So let's look at here. So I think my broken text for this item, items.dat. So the broken text is 1, which is correct. Our swordfish, we have the swordfish and the swordfish bones. And for testing, let's just change the durability down to like 1. So it should break pretty darn quick. So for those of you who don't know how durability works, so every time you hit something, we knock off 1 off the durability. So if I were to make it, say, 4, you could hit it 4 times, and then it would go from a normal item to a worn item. You hit it 4 more times, and then it goes from a worn to a broken item. Yeah, let me see. Cool. Mark Solly said he updated his Dragon Slayer mod to be unique, so you can only find one Dragon Slayer sword, which is rad. It's also nice to have some really cool uniques for people to find. I think that's probably the right way to do that. Um, let me see. Yeah, and also Javier is correct about the GFX error. That means that we couldn't find the correct index into a sprite atlas. So instead of crashing, we show the GFX error. GFX error stands for graphics error. It's just if you look at some of the again, if you look at like here, so on this item sheet, a lot of the items have transparency, and it used to be anything that wasn't filled up was transparent. But now what happens is if you keep it that way, if you accidentally set the wrong index, you get an invisible item, which is really hard to tell if it's broken or not. So I add this stuff into the unused areas. So if we accidentally index into it, we get a GFX error. It's just a useful way. Like I really should put these on my other sprite sheets so folks know. It's a troubleshooting thing. And again, it's just because lessons learned when we didn't do this, like sometimes we'd add new things in and we couldn't find them because they were invisible. So let's look at our swordfish. Erase, play. Okay, uniques, swordfish. Just a little baby swordfish. And you can smash stuff with it. We should have 4 hits, and it should go from a normal swordfish. Now it should be a worn swordfish. There we go. Now it's a worn swordfish. And then 4 more hits, and it should become a broken swordfish. Yep, there we go. Boop. And she's a broken. And then broken items have severely diminished stats. I feel like it should be a little bit bigger than it is. So let me tweak the item scale real quick. We can do that in our. I'm just going to do it here. So make the scale 0.75. Maybe that will feel more correct. Erase and play. All right. So now the swordfish should be a little bit bigger because it was feeling kind of small to me. Like a swordfish should be fairly substantial. It is not a monster, Joshua. It is a unique sword. Ha! There we go. And actually, I think that might be the correct pixel ratio. Maybe items are. Well, it might be a little on the big side, but there we go. Nice. I can play a little bit with it. Oh, I guess I'd. Yeah. Okay, let's get by this. Let's do. Oh, not close enough. Okay, and I still poisoned myself. I still need to tweak. I keep saying I need to tweak that radius. I do need to tweak that radius because it's just a little on the large side. Dang it. I guess on the plus side, I can throw the. Oh no, that would have healed me. Okay, that one healed me. I could probably slip on. Oh, or I get teleported into a fight. There we go. Okay. Ah! Nice. The box. Oh, because I have the gun mod installed. And there's a slime, and it probably will break soon. Oh no, it's worn. then it will be broken. There we go. There we go. Now it's a broken. I still think it could, yeah, it's still decently damaging as a broken swordfish. Okay, I think that's enough silliness. Um, let me see. Let me real quick. Um, actually, I'm just going to go ahead and push this out to the example repo. So if folks want to use it, you are welcome to it. So let me. So repositories, GitHub, example mods. Let's call this new. This will be item dash swordfish. And then let's just copy this out. Copy. There we go. GitHub, over example mods, changes. So we got the new items definitions, write sheets. Let me just add new lines because that does bother me, even though it shouldn't. Let me open up GitHub example mods, item swordfish, select the folder. There's a swordfish.ping. Let me just add a new line there. Right on spritesheets.dat. New line there. I think let me flip on JSON just to make sure. So this should be valid JSON. I'm trying to make sure I always put out valid JSON in my examples, so so folks can use a JSON formatter to track down errors. Cool. Also, a new file. What do we call readme.md? Swordfish. Unique weapon. It's a swordfish. Get it? Save. Also, VS Code has a nice little preview window you can hit. Where is it at? Preview? There we go. Cool. Oh, Joshua and your new lines. Save. And let me just push this out there. Added swordfish example. Sword. Commit and sync. Bluestone says, will I put the swordfish on the workshop? Do you folks actually want it on the workshop, or do you just want to use it as an example, as just out on the example repo? Because I didn't, I mean, it's exactly the same as the old iron sword. I haven't changed any of the stats. Example mods. So yeah, so now we have item swordfish, and if you add a README, it'll show it here, which is nice. You know, if you folks, I mean, if you want to, so Bluestone says, yep. Either I may clean it up and put it out there, or if you folks want to take it and include it in a weapon pack, that is totally fine. You could just drop a line saying I made the art for it. No big deal. You can use it. Let me see. Arsenio says, is there any way to make the dungeon depth fog closer and moodier? Yep, there certainly is. So if you look at let me see, where does it live nowadays? If you look at in the generator folder, in the generator folder live all the themes. So if you pick a theme like sewer and you look at the section.dat, the fog start and the fog end, that controls where the fog starts and ends. Um, and also fog color. These are the three things you want to tweak around with to do that. Um, I think Arsenio Dev, I think you've been around a while. The old generator.zip, we don't use that anymore. You can just use a generator, just leave it in the generator folder, and that should be sufficient. Um, Hawaii Beach says, why do you leave a new line? It's an old thing. Some old operating systems expect like a return character and a new line character at the end of a file, so that's just a thing I do. It's not a big thing, and most of them handle the with the it's just /r /n is it's kind of what some things look for. A lot of things don't need that anymore, but I still do it. Um, Hawkman 111 says, "Am I the only one having problems where Delver doesn't always load up the mods that I'm subscribed to?" I've run into issues where um, I've subscribed to a mod and I've fired up Delver before Steam had finished downloading the contents, and usually just relaunching Delver would it would actually be there the second time around, and that's just kind of a timing with Steam and us. Um, um, let me see. Mark says, "What software to use for the code?" Notepad++ to make some weird stuff. So um, I use IntelliJ for my Java development. Um, uh, um, I use Visual Studio Code for a lot of my mod stuff. Um, uh, it works well enough working for projects. And to address Hawaii Beach's issue, you can edit. Where is it? Settings, settings, workspace settings. Then here you can actually you can set file associations. So I can do something like I've done this with other things too, where you can do start.dat, and this is JSON. Clean that up. And now I think whenever I open up a DAT file, it should just automatically. Let me see. Did I do that right or wrong? Let me see. Oh, configure assumption. Maybe I did do that wrong. JSON. There we go. Start of that, yeah. So that, lowercase JSON. Yeah, so that way you don't have to keep fiddling around with that. Yep. No biggie. Yeah, and Hawaii Beach, yeah, part of my stream is teaching folks, and I'm happy to do so. Cool. So I'm hitting the 2 hour mark, folks. I think I'm going to call it a day. Again, I want to thank everybody who's already made a mod and put it out on the workshop. That's really awesome. And again, those folks are Lobo, Chezzy, Naga91, Seven Soul, Elemental XD, Bluestone, Mark Sally, Draxon, and Louis Carl. So thank you folks for taking the time to make cool user-generated content for my little game. Um, that means the world to me. Thank you so much for purchasing my game if you have. That financially supports me. And I'm very grateful for that. Also, thank you for watching my stream. That is also really helpful. I look forward to every Sunday to talk game dev and work with you folks, and I just really look forward to it every week. So I think with that, I will see you folks next Sunday. Have a good week, and I will I'll talk to you then.